The big ships came on a Tuesday. People all around the world looked up at the sky and saw them. 5 huge ships that looked like they were made of green crystal. They hung in the air above the biggest cities on Earth: New York, Beijing, London, Moscow, and Cairo. At first, everyone was scared. Phones stopped working. TV shows were cut off. The internet went down for 6 hours. The world leaders met in a rush. They needed to figure out what to do. Susan Miller was not supposed to be the one who talked to the aliens first. She was just a captain in the Earth Diplomatic Corps, a group that was made only 2 years ago when people finally decided that Earth should speak with one voice if aliens ever came. Susan was good at her job, but she was not the most important person in the EDC. But when the aliens asked to meet humans, they wanted someone who was not yet fully established in authority. The aliens called themselves the Zraxi. They looked like giant praying mantises with long green bodies and big eyes that seemed to see everything at once. They were much taller than humans, almost 8 feet high. "I'm honored to meet you," Susan said when she first saw them at the special meeting place set up in a field outside of Geneva. She tried not to show how nervous she felt. The Zraxi leader, who said his name was Admiral Krazak, made a clicking sound with his mouth parts. The translator device the aliens had given to humans turned this into words. "We are pleased to find intelligent life on this water-rich world." For 3 months, Susan met with the Zraxi almost every day. They talked about many things: how each species lived, what they believed, what they ate, how they built things. The Zraxi seemed interested in everything about Earth, but they did not share much about themselves. "Why did you come to Earth?" Susan asked one day. "To learn," Admiral Krazak said, "and to see if we might be friends." Susan did not fully believe him. Something about the way the Zraxi looked at Earth's resources made her think they wanted more than friendship. One night, there was a big dinner. The Zraxi could not eat human food, but they sat at the tables anyway and watched the humans eat while they drank a thick green liquid from special containers they brought. During the dinner, Admiral Krazak was looking at something on a small device like a tablet. Susan saw that he was scrolling through pictures of Earth animals. "Your planet's big animals are cute," the Admiral said, his words coming through the translator. He showed the screen to Susan. It had pictures of hippos in a river. Dr. Alan Garcia was sitting next to Susan. He was the best expert on animal life on the team. "Those are hippopotamuses," he said. "They are very dangerous. They kill many people in Africa every year." The Zraxi all made a strange sound. The translator said they were laughing. "Dangerous? These fat water cows?" Admiral Krazak clicked. His mouth parts rapidly. "They look like toys. On our world, we would keep these as pets for children." Susan smiled politely, but she did not like how the Admiral was making fun of Earth animals. "Hippos might look slow, but they can run faster than humans on land, and their teeth are very strong." "Perhaps," the Admiral said, but he did not sound like he believed her. "On our world, real dangerous animals have natural weapons: claws, poison, armor, not just big teeth and fat bodies." That night, Susan could not sleep. She kept thinking about how the Zraxi had laughed at Earth's animals. It was a small thing, but it bothered her. She got up and called General Olivia Rodriguez, her boss back at the EDC headquarters. "I don't trust them," Susan said after she explained what happened. "They're too interested in our resources, and they look down on us like we're simple." "Keep watching them," General Rodriguez said. "But don't show that you're worried. We need more time to figure out what they really want." The next day, Susan was walking with Dr. Garcia in the garden outside the meeting place when they saw a small group of Zraxi looking at birds in the trees. "What do you think they really want?" Susan asked quietly. "I think they're scouts," Dr. Garcia said. "Looking for something. Maybe a new place to live, maybe food. But I don't think they're just here to be friends." "And if they decide they want Earth?" Dr. Garcia looked at the aliens, who were using a device to scan a butterfly. "Then we need to hope they keep underestimating us." 1 week later, Susan's fears came true. The Zraxi called for a special meeting with all of Earth's top leaders. Susan sat in the back of the room, watching as Admiral Krazak stood in front of the group. "We have decided that Earth is a good world," the Admiral said. It has many resources we need. We would like to begin moving some of our people here. The room got very quiet. The president of the World Council stood up. Earth is already home to billions of people. We're happy to trade with you, but we can't just give you our land. Admiral Krazak made a movement with his front legs that the humans had learned meant something like, "This is not important." "We understand you were here first," the admiral said. "But we have greater need, and we have better technology. It would be best for everyone if you accepted this. And if we don't?" the president asked. The admiral's huge eyes seemed to get darker. "Then we will have to take what we need anyway. But we are not without honor. We offer you a chance." "What chance?" Susan asked, speaking up even though she was not supposed to. "A challenge," the admiral said. "This is our way. When two species both want the same world, they each send one champion to fight. The winner gets the world." The room filled with angry voices. The president raised a hand for quiet. "You want us to fight you for our own planet?" "Just one battle," Admiral Krazak said. "One champion from Earth against one champion from our world. If you win, we will leave and never return. If we win, you will welcome us as your new leaders." "This is crazy," someone shouted. "It is our way," the admiral said. "You have 7 days to choose your champion. The battle will be held in a place we will prepare." After the Zraxi left the room, everyone started talking at once. Susan found Dr. Garcia in the crowd. "What kind of champion will they send?" she asked him. "I don't know," he said, "but I bet it will be something terrible. Something they think we can't beat." He looked at Susan with worried eyes. "What are we gonna do?" Susan remembered how the Zraxi had laughed at Earth's animals, how they thought hippos were just fat and slow. She had an idea. "I need to talk to General Rodriguez," she said. "I think I know how we might win this." The room was filled with important people. Generals, scientists, and world leaders all sat around a large round table. They had been meeting for 2 days now, trying to figure out what to do about the Zraxi challenge. There were only 5 days left before the fight. "We could send our best tank," said one general. "The new M1A5 has the strongest armor ever made." "No," said General Rodriguez. "The Zraxi were clear. It has to be a living thing from Earth. A machine would break their rules." "Then what about a bear?" someone else suggested. "Grizzlies are very strong." "Too slow," said another expert. "And their skin is not tough enough." Susan sat quietly, waiting for her chance to speak. She had been thinking about this problem day and night. Finally, General Rodriguez noticed her. "Captain Miller, you had an idea." Susan stood up. She felt nervous with so many important people looking at her. "Yes, General, I think we should use a hippopotamus." The room got quiet. Then someone laughed. "A hippo? Those fat water cows?" Susan felt her face get hot, but she kept talking. "The Zraxi already showed us they think hippos are weak and funny, but they're wrong. Hippos kill more people in Africa than lions or crocodiles. They can run faster than humans on land, even though they weigh thousands of pounds. Their skin is very thick and their jaws can break a crocodile in half." Dr. Garcia stood up next to her. "Captain Miller is right. Hippos are one of the most dangerous animals on Earth. And the Zraxi don't know this. They've already decided hippos are weak. That gives us an advantage." The room filled with voices again. Some people liked the idea. Others thought it was crazy. General Rodriguez hit the table with her hand to make everyone quiet. "Dr. Garcia, what would it take to get a hippo ready for this fight?" Dr. Garcia thought for a moment. "We would need a big, strong male, the biggest we can find. And we would need to make sure it's in the right mood to fight." "Can you train a hippo?" someone asked. "Not really," Dr. Garcia said. "But we don't need to. Hippos are naturally aggressive. We just need to make sure our hippo sees the Zraxi champion as a threat." The meeting went on for hours. Some people still wanted to send a human fighter, in a special suit or a tiger or an elephant. But in the end, General Rodriguez made the decision. "We will send a hippo," she said. "Captain Miller, since this was your idea, you will help Dr. Garcia find the right animal." The next day, Susan and Dr. Garcia flew to Kenya. They met with Natalie Johnson, who worked at a big wildlife park. She knew all about hippos. "You want a hippo to fight an alien?" Natalie asked. She did not look happy about the idea. "To save Earth," Susan said. "If we lose this fight, the Ziraxi will take over our planet." Natalie thought about this. "I still don't like it. But if we have to do this, I know which hippo to use." She took them to a special part of the park. There was a big lake there, with mud all around it. "This is where we keep Goliath," she said. "Goliath?" Susan asked. "That's what we call him. He's the biggest bull hippo I've ever seen. He's about 25 years old and weighs more than 9,000 pounds. He's also very mean. 2 years ago, some poachers tried to kill him for his teeth. He killed one of them and hurt the others. We had to put him here by himself because he kept fighting with the other male hippos." As if he knew they were talking about him, a huge dark shape rose from the water. Susan had seen hippos in zoos before, but Goliath was much bigger. His body was gray and wet, with small ears and tiny eyes that looked at them without blinking. His mouth was huge. When he opened it to yawn, Susan could see teeth as big as her hand. "Will he do what we need him to do?" Susan asked. Natalie shrugged. "Hippos do what hippos want to do. But if something threatens him, he will fight. And he won't stop until the threat is gone." For the next 3 days, they worked on getting Goliath ready. They couldn't train him like a dog, but they could get him used to certain smells. Dr. Garcia had gotten a piece of cloth that had touched a Ziraxi. They put this smell on a big dummy that they moved around near Goliath's lake. Every time Goliath attacked the dummy, they gave him his favorite foods. "He's learning that the alien smell means he should attack," Natalie explained. Susan watched Goliath smash the dummy with his huge head. But will he be strong enough? "We still don't know what kind of champion the Ziraxi will send." "I've been working on that," Dr. Garcia said. He showed them his tablet. "Our spies have been watching the Ziraxi ships. They've seen them moving, something big into their landing craft, and I found this." He showed them a picture. It was blurry, but they could see something with many legs and a long tail. "What is it?" Susan asked. "They call it a drachmor," Dr. Garcia said. "It seems to be some kind of war animal they use. It has 8 legs and what looks like armor on its body." Susan felt worried. "Is Goliath going to be strong enough to beat that?" "Hard to say," Dr. Garcia admitted. "But hippos are incredibly strong. Their skin is 2 inches thick, which makes it hard to hurt them. And those jaws can bite with a force of almost 2,000 pounds per square inch." The day before the fight, Susan stood by the lake watching Goliath. The huge hippo was lying, half in the water, his small eyes watching her. "I hope we made the right choice," she said to Natalie. "Goliath has survived poachers, fights with other hippos, and even a crocodile attack once," Natalie said. "He's the toughest animal I know." Admiral Krazak had sent a message earlier that day. The fight would happen in a place they had built, in the Australian outback. It was a big circle like an old Roman arena. People from all over the world would watch. "Do you think we can win?" Susan asked Dr. Garcia. "I think the Ziraxi have made a big mistake," he said. "They think our animals are weak because they look different from theirs. But Earth animals had to survive millions of years of hard competition. That made them tough in ways the Ziraxi don't understand." That night, Susan couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about tomorrow's fight. Everything depended on Goliath now. A hippo that most people thought was just a fat, silly-looking animal was going to fight for the future of Earth. She hoped the Ziraxi would keep underestimating Earth's animals. That might be the only advantage they had. The sun was hot in the Australian outback. Susan wiped sweat from her face as she stood with Dr. Garcia and Natalie. They were in a small room under the big arena the Ziraxi had built. The room had special cooling systems to keep Goliath comfortable. The huge hippo was in a pool of water, only his eyes and nostrils showing above the surface. "It's almost time," Dr. Garcia said, looking at his watch. "The Ziraxi said the fight would start at noon." Susan nodded. Her mouth felt dry. She had not slept much last night. Too many thoughts kept going around in her head. What if Goliath lost? What if the Zraxi did not keep their promise even if Goliath won? What if Goliath just decided not to fight at all? How will we get him into the arena? She asked Natalie. We have a path of water that leads from this pool to the arena, Natalie explained. Hippos like to follow water. When it's time, we'll open the gates, and Goliath will probably follow the water path right into the arena. A loud sound came from outside. It was like a giant horn. That's the signal, Dr. Garcia said. The Zraxi are calling everyone to watch the fight. Susan looked at Goliath one more time. The huge hippo seemed calm, but she knew how quickly hippos could move when they wanted to. Good luck, she whispered. They left Goliath's room and climbed the stairs to the seats where Earth's leaders were waiting. The arena was huge, bigger than a football field. The ground was covered with dirt and rocks, but there was a big pool of water in the middle. All around the arena were seats filled with people. On one side sat humans. On the other side were the Zraxi, their green bodies shining in the sun. Susan sat between Dr. Garcia and General Rodriguez. Where's the Zraxi? Champion? She asked, looking around. They're keeping it hidden until the fight starts, General Rodriguez said. Just like we're keeping Goliath hidden. Admiral Krazak stood up. His voice came through speakers all around the arena. Today, we will see which species deserves this world, he said. One champion from Earth, and one champion from our world. We'll fight. The winner's people will have the right to this planet. The world president stood up next. We did not ask for this fight, she said. But we will defend our home. Let the challenge begin, Admiral Krazak said. A loud horn sounded again. Two big gates on opposite sides of the arena began to open. Slowly, Susan held her breath. For a moment, nothing happened. Then water began to flow out of the gate on the human side, and behind the water came Goliath. The huge hippo moved surprisingly fast, half walking and half swimming along the stream of water. When he reached the pool in the middle, he stopped and looked around. His small eyes seemed to take in the crowds, the strange place and the gate on the other side that was still opening. A sound came from the other gate. It was a high, sharp noise like metal being cut. Then the Zraxi champion came into the arena. Susan gasped. The creature was nothing like she had imagined from the blurry pictures. It was huge, bigger than Goliath. It had 8 legs as they had seen, but each leg ended in a claw that looked like it could cut through steel. Its body was covered in what looked like black armor plates. Its head had many eyes and a mouthful of teeth that moved in different directions. A Drakmor, Dr. Garcia whispered. It's even worse than I thought. The Drakmor saw Goliath and made that metal cutting. Sound again? It started moving toward the hippo, its many legs making it very fast. Goliath watched the strange creature come closer. He did not move from his spot in the pool. He just waited, only his eyes, ears, and nose above the water. Why isn't he moving? Susan asked, worried. The Drakmor will reach him soon. He's doing what hippos do, Natalie said. They look calm until they're not. The Drakmor reached the edge of the pool. It stopped for a moment, looking at the hippo with its many eyes. Then it jumped, trying to land on top of Goliath. That's when Goliath moved. He came up from the water with incredible speed, his huge mouth open, showing teeth that were a foot long. He caught one of the Drakmor's legs in his mouth, just as the alien creature was in the air. The sound of breaking armor filled the arena. The Drakmor made a horrible screaming noise. Goliath shook his head hard like a dog with a toy, and the Drakmor's leg came off in his mouth. Yes, Susan yelled, jumping up from her seat. The humans around her were cheering too. But the fight was far from over. The Drakmor, now with only 7 legs, turned quickly. It had a long tail with what looked like a knife on the end. This tail whipped around and cut Goliath on his side. Goliath roared in pain. The sound was so loud that Susan had to cover her ears. The hippo charged out of the water, moving with surprising speed for something so big. He hit the Drakmor with his whole body, knocking the alien creature over. Now both animals were fully fighting. The Drakmor used its claws to cut at Goliath's thick skin. But the cuts did not go deep. Hippos have skin that is 2 inches thick, and it seemed that the Drakmor's claws could not cut all the way through. Goliath kept fighting with his mouth, trying to bite the Drakmor again. But now the alien creature was more careful, keeping away from those huge teeth. For several minutes, the two animals fought around the arena. Both were bleeding now. Goliath had cuts all over his body. The Drakmor was missing one leg and had a big wound on its side where Goliath had managed to bite it. "Can Goliath win?" Susan asked Natalie. "He's hurt." "Those cuts look bad, but they're not deep enough to stop him," Natalie said. "Hippos fight each other all the time. They know how to keep going even when they're hurt." The Drakmor tried a new move. It jumped on top of Goliath's back and started cutting with all its remaining legs at once. Goliath roared again and did something surprising. He rolled over in the dirt, crushing the Drakmor under his massive weight. When Goliath stood up, the Drakmor stayed on the ground. Some of its armor plates were broken. It tried to get up but seemed to be having trouble. Goliath didn't wait. He attacked again, his huge mouth opening wide. This time he caught the Drakmor by its middle. His powerful jaws closed with incredible force. There was a loud cracking sound. The Drakmor's body broke in half. The arena went completely silent. Even the Zraxi made no sound. Everyone watched as Goliath dropped the broken Drakmor to the ground. The alien creature didn't move again. Goliath stood over his fallen enemy. He made a loud bellowing sound that echoed around the arena. Then he turned and walked back to the pool in the middle, where he lowered himself into the cool water, watching everyone with his small, dark eyes. Susan could not believe it. Goliath had won. Earth had won. The arena was quiet for what seemed like a long time. Then all the humans began to cheer and yell. Susan felt like her heart might burst with happiness. She hugged Dr. Garcia and then General Rodriguez. They had won. Earth was safe. "I can't believe it worked," General Rodriguez said, smiling wider than Susan had ever seen before. "Your idea saved us all, Captain Miller." Susan shook her head. Goliath did all the work. She looked down at the arena where the huge hippo was still in the pool, only his eyes showing above the water. "We need to get him medical help right away." Natalie was already talking on her phone, calling for the team of vets who were waiting nearby. "They're coming now," she said. "They'll take care of his cuts. I don't think they're too deep." On the other side of the arena, the Zraxi were very quiet. Admiral Krazak stood up slowly. His face was hard to read since it was so different from a human face, but his body seemed stiff and angry. "What will they do now?" Susan asked General Rodriguez. "Will they keep their promise to leave Earth alone?" "They should," the general said. "But we need to be careful. They might be angry about losing." The world president stood up and walked to the middle of her section. She used a microphone to speak to everyone. "The challenge is over. Earth's champion has won. According to the agreement, the Zraxi will now leave our planet in peace." All eyes turned to Admiral Krazak. Would he keep his word? The admiral made a gesture with his front legs. Then he spoke, his words coming through the translator system. "The challenge has been decided. We accept the result." Susan let out a breath she didn't know she had been holding. They were going to honor the agreement. Earth was safe. "I would like to speak with the keepers of your champion," Admiral Krazak added, "and with those who chose it for the fight." Susan looked at General Rodriguez. "Should we meet with him?" "Yes," the general said. "We need to make sure they really do leave peacefully, and we should be polite winners." An hour later, Susan, Dr. Yu, Garcia, and Natalie were in a meeting room under the arena. Goliath had been taken away for medical care. The vet said he would be fine after some rest. The cuts from the Drakmor were not too deep because of his thick skin. Admiral Krazak came into the room with two other Zraxi. They moved with stiff, careful steps like they were trying hard to be polite. "Your champion fought well," Admiral Krazak said. "We did not expect such strength from that kind of animal." "Hippos are one of the most dangerous animals on Earth," Dr. Garcia said. "They kill hundreds of people every year in Africa." The admiral made a clicking sound. "We were wrong to judge them by how they look. That was a mistake." "You thought they were just fat and slow," Susan said. "But they're very fast and strong." "Yes," the admiral agreed. "We have much to learn about Earth's life forms. We did not understand how different evolution can be on different worlds. So you will leave Earth now? Natalie asked. She was still angry about the fight, even though Goliath had won. She didn't like that he had been hurt. We will honor our agreement, Admiral Krazak said. Our ships will leave tomorrow, but I would like to ask something first. What is it? Susan asked. We would like to learn more about Earth's animals before we go, not to find weaknesses but to understand. Our scientists are very interested now. Susan looked at General Rodriguez, who had just entered the room. The general nodded slightly. I think we can arrange that, Susan said. Dr. Garcia is one of our best experts on Earth's animals. He could show your scientists some examples. That would be good, Admiral Krazak said. We have been exploring many worlds for many years, but we have never seen animals like yours. Dr. Garcia stepped forward. What makes Earth's animals different from the ones on other worlds you've seen? The Admiral made a gesture with his front legs. Most worlds we have found have simple animals, small things with simple bodies, or large things with simple defenses like hard shells or poison. But your world has animals with so many different ways to survive. Earth has had life for billions of years, Dr. Garcia explained. That's a very long time for animals to evolve, and change and find new ways to survive. And your hippos, one of the other Ziraxti said, they look so peaceful in the water, but they can fight so fiercely. We did not expect that. Natalie smiled a little. That's how they survive. They look calm until they're not. It tricks their enemies. The next day, Dr. Garcia took a group of Ziraxi scientists to a special zoo that had been set up quickly. It had examples of many Earth animals: lions, bears, elephants, rhinos, and even some smaller animals like honey badgers and wolverines. Susan went with them. She watched as the aliens looked at each animal with great interest. They seemed especially amazed by the honey badger. This small animal can survive bites from poisonous snakes? One of the Ziraxi scientists asked. Yes, Dr. Garcia said. And it's so brave and tough that it will fight animals much bigger than itself. The Ziraxi scientist made notes on a device. Remarkable. On our world, small animals hide from big ones. They don't fight them. At the end of the tour, Admiral Krazak met with the world president one last time. Susan stood nearby, listening. We will leave as promised, the Admiral said, but we hope that someday our people can meet again in peace. We have much to learn from each other. We would welcome peaceful contact in the future, the president said, but not until we're ready. The Admiral nodded his big head. We understand. We made a mistake in how we approached your world. We will not make that mistake again. Later that day, Susan watched from the roof of a tall building as the 5 green crystal ships rose into the sky. They glowed brightly for a moment, then shot upward and disappeared. Do you think they'll really come back someday? She asked Dr. Garcia, who stood next to her. I think they will, he said. But next time they'll be more careful about judging us by how we look, or by how our animals look, Susan added with a smile. As the last light from the ships faded in the sky, Susan thought about Goliath. The hippo was back in Kenya now, in a special new area made just for him. He would live there as a hero for the rest of his life. The Ziraxi learned an important lesson today, General Rodriguez said, joining them on the roof. Never judge an Earth animal by its appearance, especially not a hippo. 1 year had passed since the day Goliath defeated the Drakmor. Susan stood at the edge of a large, beautiful lake in Kenya. This was Goliath's new home, a special place made just for him. It had plenty of water, mud, and plants for him to eat. There were no other hippos here. Goliath liked to be alone. Susan watched as the huge hippo rose from the water. His dark skin glistened in the sun. The scars from his fight with the Drakmor were still visible as pale lines across his body. But they had healed well. Goliath was healthy and strong. He looks good, Susan said to Natalie, who stood beside her. He's doing very well, Natalie agreed. He's become quite the tourist attraction. People come from all over the world to see the hippo that saved Earth. They watched as Goliath opened his huge mouth in what looked like a yawn, but was really a display of his massive teeth. Then he sank back into the water until only his eyes and nostrils showed. "It's hard to believe it's been a year already," Susan said. "So much has changed." And it was true. The world was very different now. After the Zraxi left, the people of Earth realized they needed to be ready if other aliens ever came. The Earth Diplomatic Corps, where Susan worked, had grown much bigger. There were new departments for studying alien technology and biology. Susan had been promoted to major for her role in choosing Goliath as Earth's champion. "Have you heard from Dr. Garcia?" Natalie asked. "Is he enjoying his new job?" Susan nodded. "He loves it. He's in charge of the new Xenobiology Institute now. They study how animals on Earth are different from animals on other worlds. After the Zraxi left, Dr. Garcia had used what they learned about alien life to start a new field of study. Scientists from all over the world now work together to understand how Earth's animals might compare to aliens they might meet in the future." "And what about you?" Natalie asked. "Are you still working with the diplomatic team?" "Yes," Susan said. "But things are different now. We're not just waiting for aliens to come to us. We're getting ready to go out there ourselves someday." The Zraxi ships had left behind some of their technology as a peace offering. Earth scientists had been studying it. They were learning how the aliens had traveled through space so quickly. Maybe someday humans would be able to visit other worlds too. Susan's phone made a noise. She looked at it and frowned. "I need to get back to headquarters," she said. "Something's happening." 2 hours later, Susan was in a meeting room at the Earth Diplomatic Corps headquarters. General Rodriguez was there, along with many other important people. They looked worried. "We've received a message," General Rodriguez said when everyone was seated. "From the Zraxi." Susan felt her heart beat faster. "What do they want? They promised to leave us alone." "They're not coming back to Earth," the general said quickly. "But they want to warn us about something. Another alien species called the Vroon is heading toward our solar system. The Zraxi say the Vroon are dangerous. They take over planets by force." "How long do we have?" someone asked. "The Vroon ships will reach our system in about 6 months," General Rodriguez said. Everyone started talking at once. Susan waited until it was quiet again. "What do the Zraxi suggest we do?" "They've offered to help us," the general said. "They say they've fought the Vroon before. They know their weaknesses." Susan thought about this. Can we trust them? A year ago they wanted to take over Earth themselves. "That's true," General Rodriguez admitted. "But they did keep their promise to leave after they lost the challenge, and they've stayed away this whole year when they could have come back with more ships or bigger weapons." Dr. Garcia, who had been called to the meeting, spoke up. "I think they learned to respect us. They saw that Earth's life is tough and strong, in ways they didn't expect." "The president wants us to accept their help," General Rodriguez said. "But carefully, we won't let them come back to Earth. We'll meet them at a space station we're building in orbit." "What can I do to help?" Susan asked. General Rodriguez smiled at her. "You're going to be our main contact with the Zraxi. You'll go to the space station and work with them to prepare for the Vroon." 3 days later, Susan was on a rocket heading up to the new International Space Station. It was much bigger than the old one. It had been built quickly over the past year using some ideas from Zraxi technology. As the rocket climbed higher, Susan looked out the window at Earth below. It was so beautiful. Blue oceans, green and brown land, white clouds. She thought about Goliath, who had no idea that he had saved all of this. The space station came into view. It was shaped like a big wheel spinning slowly to create gravity inside. Next to it was a green crystal ship, a Zraxi vessel much smaller than the ones that had come to Earth a year ago. After the rocket docked, Susan floated through the station until she reached the meeting room. Admiral Krazak was waiting there. He looked the same as she remembered, tall and mantis-like with big compound eyes. "Captain Miller," he said through his translator. "It is good to see you again." "It's Major Miller now," Susan corrected him, "and I'm surprised to see you here in person. I thought you might send someone else." "This mission is too important," the Admiral said. The Vroon are a serious threat, not just to Earth, but to many worlds. Tell me about them, Susan said. What are they like? They are. The Admiral seemed to search for the right words. They are like your Earth jellyfish, but much bigger and with hard shells. They use powerful weapons and large numbers to take over worlds. And how do we stop them? Susan asked. We have some ideas, Admiral Krazak said. But first I have a question. How is the Hippo champion? The one called Goliath? Susan was surprised by the question. He's doing well. He lives in a special reserve now. Good, the Admiral said. I have been thinking about him and about other Earth animals. They may be the key to defeating the Vroon. What do you mean? Susan asked. The Vroon have never seen animals like Earth's, Admiral Krazak explained. They will not know what to expect, just as we did not. That gives us an advantage. Susan thought about this. You want to use Earth animals to fight the Vroon? Not exactly, the Admiral said. But I think we can learn from them, the way they fight, the way they survive. These lessons might help us build better defenses. Susan nodded slowly. I think Dr. Garcia would be very interested in this idea. As they began to plan, Susan looked out the window at Earth again. A year ago, she had been afraid that humans would lose their planet to aliens. Now she was working with those same aliens to protect Earth from a new threat, and it had all started because the Zraxi had laughed at Earth's hippos. They had learned not to judge Earth's animals by how they looked. Susan hoped the Vroon would learn the same lesson before it was too late for them.